So we're going to go with the first of the turning point brews. So we've got Hickory Caviar. This is a maple and pecan Danish stout. So what they do at the brewery is they will brew a stout and then they infuse it with different extracts or flavours. In this case it's maple syrup and pecan nuts, so it's going to be like a Danish pastry. I was chatting to them at the brewery the other day and they use extracts for this. Some of the other brews that they do, they will actually infuse the beers with flavourings. So they do a number of different stouts where they infuse biscuits and flavourings into it. But this one's a maple and pecan stout. It's labelled as a Danish, and the artwork on the can is pretty clear. It does show you a Danish pastry. Let's see what we're like. So on the nose, there's quite a scent of maple. It does smell a little bit like maple syrup. Let's have a go. So the first thing that hits you is that lovely dark malt. The characteristic of a stout is that lovely dark maltiness. And the hops are not overly in your face. It doesn't carry a huge amount of bitterness, so it's a very smooth, rounded drink. There's a lovely sweetness to it, and yeah, the pecan flavour. It takes a while to come through. It's not sort of in your face when you first taste it. But there's very definitely a taste of pecan nuts there. The maple, I think that just gives a sort of a sweet, rounded sweetness to the beer. It's very palatable. It's very, very palatable. It's not a session beer. It's 6%. You know, some of these beers, you are looking at the stronger beers. You wouldn't sit and drink pints and pints and pints of this. A few glasses of that, but then again, it's very smooth. It's rounded. It's got that lovely dark maltiness, that lovely biscuity flavour, the almost cocoa flavour that you get from the dark crystal malts. That roasted flavour. If you think about a roasted coffee, you've got the same sort of chemistry going on in the grain. As you roast a coffee bean, you get those caramelised flavours. You're caramelising the sugars that are in the grain. You're doing the same with the malt. So you take the barley and you start it germinating. The enzymes in the barley start to break the starches down into sugars, and then you roast it. And the longer that you roast it, the more toasted it gets. So you get that lovely coffee roundedness, that really biscuity. We actually live quite close to Taylor's of Harrogate, and you walk out the door when they're roasting the coffee, and you get that really, it's like burnt toast, almost like burnt toast, that roasted flavour, and that's very, very prevalent in this beer. But as you go further, and as the taste develops on your palate after you've drunk it, you do get the sweetness of the maple. It's not an in-your-face maple syrup flavour. That's just not there. And then you get that hint of pecan nut flavour in the background. Yeah, it is very, very reminiscent of a maple Danish pastry. And it's very nice for all that, yeah. Yeah, for somebody who grew up drinking Stones' Best Bitter in a pub in Sheffield, which is where I actually grew up in a pub, and I was introduced to Stones' Best Bitter at an early age, and that was the beer I drank. That was the style of beer I drank. It was a Yorkshire bitter, and that was it. You wouldn't have seen me drinking anything else than that. I think as you get past a certain age, you start to have a more cultured palate. You start to appreciate the flavours of different drinks and different beers, and this is certainly one that's it's very much grown on me since I've started drinking beers from Turning Point. They do make some absolutely awesome stouts, well worth trying out. So yeah, there we go. That's the first one out of the box that we've tried, Hickory Caviar. It's designed or brewed and crafted around a Danish pastry. It's got the flavours of maple syrup and pecan nuts in there. It is a lot like the maple pecan syrup, the maple syrup and pecan. Oh, you'd have thought I'd have had cans and cans of this stuff. I haven't. It's a lot like the maple syrup and pecan nut Danish pastries that you get from the supermarket. That flavour's very much in the stout. It's a rounded beer. It's a very soft drinking beer. It's an after dinner beer. It's something that you could sit down and drink after you've had a meal. Nice glass of that. Chill out. Just watch the world go by. Really nice. Okay, that's the first beer out of the Turning Point Disco Royalty Box. Hope you enjoyed that. Keep an eye out for the next one that's coming along. Thank you very much.